All right, so our next panel is about AI and its use in the creation of media. Anybody think that's a topic right now? Nobody think that's interesting? Okay. Our moderator today is Pinar from a company called Cuebric, which I highly recommend you Google after this, not during. Take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. How are we feeling this morning? Yes. I want one more. How are we feeling this morning? Yes! Exactly. That's what I wanted to hear. So we're all enthusiasts of AI. We share our mutual enthusiasm and excitements overall AI. But I would like this exercise of 30 minutes exercise to be, while sharing our mutual excitement for AI, I would like us to remain conscious and pragmatic about the future we are currently building as leaders of AI in our respectful fields. So we have 4 panelists coming from 4 different parts of the United States and the world. To my left, we have Philipp. We will go into detail of him, but let me say a few things about him. He is leading the New York and Hamburg offices of RafterMarsh law firm. He's going to be your next best friend because he's specialized in intellectual property, licensing, legal challenges surrounding emerging technologies with a sprinkle of AI and AI compliance. And then we have Gabe next to him. By the way, Philipp is also a musician, so I don't want to keep it out. Gabe, we have artists on stage as well. Gabe, he's the executive producer of AI of the renowned PR firm Edelman. But aside from that, he's a multifaceted AI director, creator, producer. He has won several accolades of generative AI companies. He's part of the partner programs and an award-winning creator. To his left, we have beautiful Noelle and her little friend that we will meet. Apparently, he plays a very important role in her art, in her self-expression. Noelle is an award-winning technologist, AI ethicist, and then had led teams of NPR, Microsoft, IBM, AWS, and built over 100 conversational AI applications. She recently was the most awarded, most valuable professional for artificial intelligence in Microsoft. And then to her left, we have Demirdag, who is an Emmy-winning producer. He's currently the director of post-production and films of Accenture. And then he has led broadcast productions for 15 years, from NFL to live political debates to daily news. All right. I would like to start with the question to all of you, one by one. In your field of, I would like us to dip into dangerous waters a little bit, but I want a soft start, and then I want to go a little hardcore in the second part of the 30 minutes. I would like to soft start by asking you, how is AI used in your respectful fields? And then, I only want you to answer, of course, answer as technically as possible, but I would like to understand, according to your point of view, how will we humans benefit from AI? Go.
You would like the lawyer to start? As a musician and someone who loves technology, I'm, like many of us, are overly excited about what AI can do for us, how it can assist us with our daily tasks, automate things that we used to spend so much time on and now can focus on the things that may be, special to us, or what we actually shine in as with our personal skills. Obviously, as a lawyer for many tech companies, music tech companies, media companies, we advise on how they can utilize AI, third-party AI tools, or even create AI tools. And while it is exciting, it comes with responsibility. As a lawyer, again, I come into a similar situation because I would be naive to think that AI will not have an impact on our traditional legal field. There are fantastic tools that help us do what we do, drafting contracts, drafting clauses, doing some sort of it's almost like an enhanced spell check to go through checklists, maybe summarizing documents. There's a lot out there, while also our legal profession has to it needs to comply with many legal rules, for example, to avoid disclosing confidential information of clients. So we would be in trouble, and we would be personally liable, not the companies and technologies we deal with. That is...
May I ask, actually, my stepmother is a doctor, and during the COVID times, she said the hardest thing was for her not to touch her patients. She said, 90% of the way I heal my patients is not because of my robotic presence of diagnosis, is because I bring comfort and love and understanding to patients. So it was very hard for me, she said, when everybody was like roboticized and like sanitized, it was hard for her to be her, which is a human being. So can you please reflect on the fact that unless we rise up to what makes us great as human beings, like what are the things, like are there, of course law is like, can be black and white, but my lawyer always say it's never black and white. It's all about what the judge decides. So I want you to tell me a little bit like, what makes humans great in law? And what are the dangers of what we may face if we were to comply to AI a bit too much?
Yeah, human judgment, our gut instinct. I love technology, but you know what I love even more? The humans I interact with, I speak with. COVID showed us when we were all locked up in our rooms what it meant to us and what we all of a sudden were missing. And a lot of the things that we as lawyers also we sometimes read between the lines. We try to understand what the client needs and what the client wants. And sometimes the client cannot even communicate exactly what they need and what they want because they're not sure yet. That's what we're here for. So in a personal conversation, and I just came back from NAMM, which is a music trade show in Southern California, where I had a similar discussion. There was always the fear of to what extent are machines going to replace us. And I always remind everyone, at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we love AI technologies with a human-centric design that assist and help us, but there are some blanks to be filled that only a human can, and I'm convinced will, play. It's still we as humans.
I hear usually that with the advent of AI, lawyers will be the ones to quote unquote disappear. I highly disagree, actually. I highly disagree. Whenever there's a emotional interaction with the end user, with the client customer, I think that's exactly where we will thrive the most as humans.
Our field also changes, and right now we're advising a lot on AI compliance, AI governance. What can you do right? Ethical design, safety, continuing to monitor what you're doing, and that depends. Maybe in video, it's data sourcing. Where do you get your data from?
Yes.
What impact do you have on your industry? Who's going to hate what you do, and who's going to love what you do? And these are actually human considerations. You don't need to be a lawyer to come up with some of these questions and answers. And we're here to moderate this process. The lawyers are here to moderate. So I'm not worried about my profession, but I'm sure it'll change over the years.
Yes. Thank you. On your left, we have Gabe.
Yeah, thank you. Well, in my profession, making things with AI tools, AI has become a big part of the pipeline for us, a part of our workflow. And my job at Edelman is to vet tools, see what can work in an enterprise space. So we have a lot of things to discuss. But then also, how can we be the most creative and worry about the creative the most? So what I'm finding is these new tools help us get to an idea so much faster. I've been doing this. I've been a filmmaker for 20 years, and I have never been so productive and never been so creative than I have in the last 2. You could look at from set aside client work, things like that. The path from taking an idea that is unique to me to getting it executed, something that probably could have taken months, maybe 2 or 3 years to go find funding for, to really sit with and digest. Now I can get out in the course of a day or 2. Like I could literally go and make a short film every single day if I wanted to, which just is, you've never had this type of creative freedom. The other side of that is Now everybody has that capability, so competition becomes a lot more, right? So I think there's a broad scope of misconception about using especially creative AI tools. There's this magic button thing, right? Like you put in a prompt and you get a film. It doesn't work that way. If you've ever tried, and if you are afraid of AI film taking your job, I would say go ahead and try and make a full film with AI. It is the most laborsome and annoying process that I've ever been through, but I love it. I've just fallen, completely in love with the process because it brings out the best of creativity in me. So I'm super excited for what's to come and how we can think about and do things in a more ethical way.
Actually, it feels like history repeats itself. Once Alvy Ray Smith, the co-founder of Pixar, told me that in the beginning of Pixar, he was accused of letting the computer do the job for him, whereas he never worked that much ever in his entire life.
Yes.
I feel like the history is repeating itself, right?
Right, and I think that there's, there's two paths for like AI and creative tools and then full-fledged AI animation, which I'm calling it, is there's AI tools that can be within any sort of workflow, any sort of pipeline, especially in production, in film and video production, and creative production in general. And then there's the full thing that I'm talking about, which is doing what CGI is essentially.
Yeah.
It should actually be called CGI. We're just calling it AI. It's just a new form of that without rendering and done it in a different way.
I have before we go to Noelle, I have a question for you. What you've been describing, the one push of a magic button nature of AI, I call it normalization of mediocrity. Mm-hmm. As an artist, as a creative, also my late husband used to say, I mean, I'm a creative, I'm an artist, born artist, will always be an artist. And then you're working on a project and then all of a sudden you're tired, right? You had enough. You just want to go and eat and have a drink and whatever. But then he would always say, Pinar, never forget, 2% is the difference between the DNA of a monkey and a human being. Go work. So
I'm stealing that.
Yes. But I want to know, like, what would, as an artist, like a collab, like award-winning artist and director, admirable position in an admirable company, like, how do you advise us not to fall into the pit of normalization of mediocrity?
I think that's a good question. I think there's two paths for AI within the creative industries. One is it's the epitomes of all the sins of social media. I'll pull it into one, right? And that's the mediocre that you're talking about. It's a filter, right? It's something. It's you do the face squeeze on Elon Musk, and you do any of these other fun tools. But that's what they are. They're fun. They're spectacle. They're to be shared. And then there's the full creative suite where you're actually taking it and breaking apart a process and you're doing it in a creative way with the creative intention. And I think that is the world of difference.
Thank you. I will get back to you. I'm interested. Noelle, yes, would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Super excited to be here from sunny South Florida. It's also 42 degrees there, but anyway. I guess it's probably most appropriate for you to know kind of how I grew up in the world of AI. About 10 years ago, I had an opportunity. I was already a cloud architect at Amazon, and Jeff Bezos sent an email that said, hey, we're trying to build the Star Trek computer. Anyone is welcome. And I was raised by my dad, golden age of science fiction guy, so I was like, oh, I'm all in on this. But I also have a child. I have 6 kids, so there's that. But I have, my very firstborn has Down syndrome, and so little did Jeff Bezos know at the time, I was on the hunt for technology that would change his life. And I was invited to a room where we were building a little black box. And that little black box would eventually become Alexa, but I was employee 10 on that team. And so I got a chance to watch very interesting, excited teams, data scientists, very smart people build something with zero idea how it would be received by the open market. And also a very homogeneous team. So that team was mostly, well, all men minus myself. I was the only Latina on the team. And I wanted to build something different than they wanted to build. Jeff Bezos told us to build 20 apps. And they were all like workout apps. I don't know if you remember this stage of Jeff Bezos's, like, he was all like abs 1 and 2, triceps for days. And then there was me. And I was like, I'd like to build kindness and mindfulness apps. And because of the homogeneity of that team, they looked at me and went, who needs mindfulness in the kitchen? And I was like, oh, you don't have any kids yet. I got you. So I built it anyway, and Jeff Bezos encouraged us to build anyway. But it led me down this path where I've now launched some of the largest models of the world. I went on to Microsoft before they launched Cognitive Services to take 17 research models and productize them. And what I've learned consistently in every one of these models that started small and became big was that we never know what we're building while we're building it. And I think that is where just the previous panel was talking about the huge value of human and lived experience on these teams. Again, you will not know the problems you will run into. Like in law, I actually consult with lots of law practices these days because it's so easy to ask a model to help you build a case brief, and then just as easy to go to jail with that information that is manufactured by a model that is desperate to please you. And that's what we're seeing now. So as we think about like, how do we use this technology? I am a media creator. I love live media, so I was happy to see that I talked about in the previous session too. I only do lives, and then I take that content, but what's changed in the last 2 years is that the day I do a live, within an hour of going live and closing out that session, I can have over 100 pieces of content, video, text, and audio only, all captioned and beautiful with B-roll, by myself. So I went from making about $400,000 a year to making $3.4 million a year and not hiring anyone. And I was like, oh, okay, what's happening right now? And now, of course, I have the resources to hire teams, but it bridges a gap that was unwalkable before. I could not get there from where I was until this technology came to aid my vision, like you said, to go from nothing to something and actually create meaningful. I mean, I will tell you, people listen to me not because it's cool tech, like you said, right? They listen to me because it's fun, and I make people laugh, and I make them feel like it's not super scary. But the only way that millions of people get to see it is because I use technology to amplify my voice. So that is something I think every one of us, no matter what our job is, we have a chance to amplify what we do. You won't lose your job. You will do more work than you ever thought was possible. And if you're doing work aligned with your passion or your purpose, you'll be so happy that you can do more of that.
Thank you. Noelle, what I want to get out of you is the following. So, for example, my company, Cuebric, we do background acceleration. We do text to 2D, to 2D, to 3D. All of a sudden, you have a background. The future of my tool is holodeck, because what is holodeck? Voice to 3D hologram. Now we're in cassette technology, text to 3D, and then tomorrow, your voice to 3D hologram. What I want to know is that since you're an AI ethicist, futurist, I would like you to tell us how is the future of conversational AI and or the future of your passion is looking like? Like, what are we going to witness in 10 years?
Yeah, so I've luckily, I mean, I've been in this field now for a little over 10 years. So I've watched, and as everything last 10 years ago, I thought we would be like Back to the Future flying cars kind of stuff. Like, that's what I would have said. We're going to be doing all this stuff because the technology is available for you to do pretty much anything you want. And it's API driven, which means you don't have to build the model or the algorithm, go to Stanford, get a degree. You can do all of it, and be 17 years old. Like, the barriers to entry to using the technology is like, there is no limit. What the limit is, and I found this out at Amazon and again at Microsoft, is the innovative mind, which is what you were talking about. Like, people actually can't see the application for this technology. So I have a term I use called bring back the backlog. I have a community, it's called I Love AI. And it's all these ideas that we've had over the years that we just kind of put back there going, well, we can't do that because it's too expensive. I don't have people, I don't have tech. All of those laws have changed now. Most people are not going back to their backlog to reimagine and reinvent. That's why I like about Accenture. Reinvent what your work looks like if you didn't have to put all these tech Band-Aids on the thing to begin with. You could start over now and do it faster than trying to fix the thing that's bugging you every day. So it's a chance, and that's why we get so excited. That's why people fall in love with it. Not because they're worried about it taking their job, but because they get to do things that they have forever been like, I can't do that. I don't have people for that. The tech's too expensive. And now the tech is incredibly cheap, getting cheaper by the day, but more importantly, it's controlled with your voice. So it is not technology you need to learn, it's clarity of thought. Do you know how to ask for what you want and get a good result? Oh, and pet owners, parents, and caregivers are by far the most successful AI prompters. And it's because you have to say the same thing 1,800 times in order for that, and you have to like massage it a little bit and be like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but let me say it a different way. So all of that. So if you're one of those people like, yay, your time has come. Thank you.
Noelle, may I translate you in Pinar in my own language? I think what I heard the following. I asked you for the future of AI, and you replied the following. The future of AI is humans that learn how to break script, because no AI can ever break script.
That's right.
Let's give this woman an applause. Awesome. I love that. I'm all for that. Mark, how's North Pole?
It's really good down here. It's nice and warm. It's quiet.
It's quiet.
Pressure's off. It's great.
Yeah.
So I suppose you're going to ask me how it's changing our world.
Yes.
Video production. I'm like Gabe, right? We're content creators, and we're moving at a much faster pace. In my organization, it's not unusual for us to get requests that need thought leadership, complex animations, and we need it done in 10 business days or less. From my perspective, we need to get into production as fast as possible, and we can shorten that runway, consolidating large PowerPoint decks or previous thought leadership into a consolidated script. We can storyboard, we can rapidly iterate, and we're putting our people right in the middle of it. They're the ones, our motion designers, our animators are the ones that are experimenting with these tools. They're taking these concepts, and they're the ones that are working with the material to try and manipulate it, learning how to prompt it to get something specific out. We're getting more alignment faster with our stakeholders. When they're clearly able to tell us what they're looking for, we can rapidly iterate against that, and we come back to content that is on point, on brand, consistent, at a faster pace, and we get it into production much quicker than we had been.
How do you, it just emerged in my head. Since you have an Emmy, I just felt like asking the following question. You're basically talking about some sort of like humans becoming the orchestration system for AIs. How does the future of awards look like? The best orchestrator?
No, I don't know, honestly, where that goes. I think what's important is that our people are getting upskilled with this technology, being literate with AI, learning. You talked about it a second ago. You have to repeat yourself 1,000 times, and sometimes you don't get the result you want. Oftentimes, you don't get the result you want. And so I think in certain respects, it's about practice. It's about doing it in repetition to try and learn how best to make AI give you what you want it to give you. But we're also at a cusp here where our people get to rewrite their job description and what the next iteration of their role looks like. We've got people that are literally doing it today, writing their next job description based on how we're going to move forward across our team. That's pretty exciting from my perspective as a team leader, where people now have a pathway that didn't exist before. And we're looking for new opportunities to grow our people, to support our people, to continue to evolve the creativity, the output, the quality. And if they're going to embrace it, the door's wide open for them to walk through.
So what you're saying is that AI impacting the future of our jobs is not only impacting the way we do it, but also the way we define it, the way we are as human beings, the way we self-express, the way we make sense of the world. So,
Totally. Emotional intelligence needs to be part of this, and that's like, right, you touched on it a few minutes ago. That is something a computer can't do for us, is emotional intelligence. We're talking about artificial intelligence. Emotional is real. We can all feel it. It's critical. It's happy, it's sad, but those are the points where humans can really be involved, make hard decisions about the quality, the direction that it's going, and that's where I think the biggest opportunity for our people is.
thank you. Well, I promised vanilla for the first part of the talk, but I didn't for the second. I promised that I would like to swim in dangerous waters. It's going to be full-on open mic. It's not going to be like one after the other. So of course, I work in a company. I lead teams. Sounds great. But I really poured my heart for the past. I'm in AI since 7 years, generative AI. At the core of its invention, I predicted, it's all great. But what I truly care is for us to do conscious contemplations so that we can take measures today to prevent matrix tomorrow, in short, where humans have consented to become energy sources for a autocratic technocracy, remember?
Remember?
Yeah, it didn't start from this to that, it was a slow growth. So when people are asking me, yeah, Pinar, what can go wrong? Like, I always have this scenario. Let's say that there's a hypothetical company, not that it exists, but let's say that that company is associated with what we call internet. Let's say that they're the leaders of search engine. Let's say that the same company also has self-driving cars, is working on AGI, and also can control the temperature in your home. That doesn't exist, but I'm a creative, okay? So let's say that that company also reinforces, after a very negative scenario, reinforces you to give your fingerprints and eyes when you enter internet. And all of a sudden, you write something negative about the government. Or let alone, you didn't pay your tax. You go into your self-driving car, and guess where you're going? IRS. You wrote something bad, nasty about the president, the current president. Oh, Pinar, sorry, you can't go to your boyfriend. I'm going to drive you to the next police station. So, these are unless we truly do something today, this can perfectly well happen. Very slowly, this can perfectly well happen. So I want to give open mic to all of you about, not that I intend this panel to be a doomsday scenario exercise, but I would like us to talk about what makes us special humans. How can we reclaim our power so that we can only use AI as a tool and nothing but the tool to profit us?
I'll quickly start with an analogy that hopefully will be helpful to you, that I've learned as I've built these models from no one talking to them to billions of inferences. Number one, they're humans behind all of that, that do not actually realize the bad things that are going to happen as a result of their efforts. So I've come to characterize them as baby tigers. We are all in kind of baby tiger mode. We are adopting baby models. We are using ChatGPT. It's super cute, adorable. People want to hold it and pet it and take pictures with it. But they don't actually look at it and go, wow, look at what big paws you have. How big are you going to be? Or those razor sharp teeth, huh? What are you going to eat? How much do you eat? Where are you going to live? What happens when I don't want you anymore? It leads us to the inevitable potential disaster of what I call being acquired by the Death Star. We've watched companies happen. You do good things for good people with your models, and then it gets acquired by a company that doesn't care at all. And this is so what I encourage you as we leave, number one, I hope we can be friends on the LinkedIn, but number two, that you realize that what you're dealing with is literally a baby tiger, no matter what you're using it for today. And that the data you put into it is food that will either grow it up to be something that maybe is majestic and does something cool, or baby tigers become big tigers, and big tigers kill people. Yeah, kill people. Okay. Thank you.
Philipp, did you want to say?
Yeah, I think you perfectly summarized the main concerns. There are laws like privacy and data protection laws that were I think, the origin of AI governance initially, because they are supposed to protect personal data from being misused by either a big corporation or the state. We want to avoid a police state. We want to. I'm originally from Germany. We don't want things to happen again that have happened in the past. And now I hear people being afraid to post on social media about their political views because they're afraid next time they enter this country, they're going to get stopped by immigration and sent back to their home country. So that is a major concern, and I encourage everyone. I mean, we're not legislators, of course, to think about this and consider this to protect, but also protect the security of all of us. But also as the tech creators in this room, to think about this, even if there's a lack of legislation at this point. What feels right to you? What turn on your brain, turn off the machine for a second, turn on the brain, and consider how can I protect civilization from some of these doomsday-like situations, but they are already current. Again, I hear people speaking about being afraid to mention what they think over social media, and that is, I think, something very, very concerning, and that's just the beginning of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It has been a long time desire of mine. Legislation is like great, but it's like top down, right? Unless you do that, we will reinforce it on you. Whereas I think that in the age of AI, it's my dream and fantasy, maybe we can do it with all of you in this room, is to create a council that reminds people of our higher principles. What does it mean to be a human being? Not just like, it's more like two organizations maybe from ground up and then combined with legislations, so then we can remind that in the age of AI, it's still about us, human beings, instead of AI doing things for us. It is us. Okay, I see my henchman is coming for me to stop speaking. Fine. We love you all, humans. It's a pleasure to be in your company. Thank you.